Hi, and welcome to this session on Explora for Australian and New Zealand schools and public libraries. My name is Jay Yurdakul, and I'm a training specialist in the Oceania region. To start, let's go through the main objectives of today's session. By the end of this session, participants will be able to describe key interface features of Explora ANZ, identify which databases are compatible with Explora ANZ, perform searches that retrieve relevant results, access full text for an item when available, locate tools to save, share, or export results, locate resources to support and promote the use of Explorer. So Explorer is an interface through which multiple databases may be searched at the same time. So think of an interface as a container. Databases are then added into the container. Explorer includes compatible databases based on your library's EBSCO subscriptions and selections made by your account administrator in EBSCO admin. So Explorer has been built for schools and public libraries. It's an ideal starting point for students to introduce research concepts and search strategies to them. So here on this slide is the interface for Explorer for Australian and New Zealand secondary schools and public libraries. And as you can see, it is an attractive, easy to use, mobile-friendly design, and it features areas that provide context to students. There is also an Explorer for Australia and New Zealand primary schools that's been made specifically for primary school students. So here is a sample of the EBSCO databases that are compatible with the Explorer interface and can therefore be browsed, searched, and accessed through Explorer. Not every database can be linked into Explorer, but if you're a secondary school library or a public library, chances are that what you're subscribing to is compatible. So I want to highlight a few of the key databases that can be added to Explorer. So these include Australia New Zealand Reference Centre Plus, Master File Complete, History Reference Centre, Science Reference Centre, and so on. Now, I also want to point out as well that ebooks can be turned on in Explorer. So if you are subscribing to any of our ebook collections, that's great news. You can definitely add them to your Explorer interface. So without further ado, let's have a look at the live environment of the Explorer interface for secondary schools and public libraries.
I am currently on my home screen and I'd like to begin by conducting a search from this home page. So what you would do as normal, you can see a search box at the very top of the screen indicating a prompt of what are you looking for. In this search box, you would just indicate your keywords and enter them in. For example, I'm going to search climate change. As I search my words, the autocomplete feature anticipates users' search terms. So even if they misspell a word, relevant search terms will appear in the drop-down menu. Users can select from the list provided, or they can finish entering their keywords and click the magnifying glass to generate a list of results. After my results have loaded, you will notice there is a topic overview provided. So many of these results in Explorer do contain a topic overview at the top of the result list. Topic overviews are really useful because they'll provide users with the background information needed to start their research. With all topic overviews now, you'll also see a section that indicates other relevant topic overviews that users can explore and click on. Clicking Read More will take the users to the full article. From here, users can read the full text of the article. Depending on their search term, the topic overview article may contain additional links within the full text that will take them to related topic overview records. So you can see in this example here, underneath the background, there is a hyperlinked word here, precipitation. By clicking on that word, I'll be taken to the relevant topic overview for that concept, and I can read through there accordingly. I'll just return back to my previous topic overview. So topic overviews are detailed, but generally very easy to follow. As the same as before, they do begin with typically a summary of the topic that leads into a background, providing context to pre-existing conditions or events leading up to that topic. Then there'll be one or more sections providing crucial information to support the understanding of the topic and its significance. At the very end of the topic overview is a bibliography or references for further reading. And I also want to point out at the very top of this page, you have your tools options available. So there is a download option where you can download the online full text. And there is also the ability to download the metadata in any of the following formats, whether that's PDF, Word, CSV, and so on. Alongside that, you have your bookmark tool. So if I want to save this topic overview as part of my bookmarks, I can by selecting that. You'll see a prompt that tells you that it's been added to your saved items, as well as indicating that if you want to access your bookmarks in future sessions, that you can sign into a personalized experience. And we'll go into that in a bit more detail later. There is the cite tool available as well. So in this cite tool, you can copy a citation. There are 9 different citation styles included. These are APA 7th edition, Harvard, MLA, and so on. And you can select from them. So I'll select APA as an example, and I could copy this citation and place it in a references list. There is also next to that the export citation functionality. So if your students or users are exporting citations to a citation tool, they can select one of the options included here. So exporting a RIS format or exporting to Noodle Tools, for example. After the cite tool, there is the add to project tool. This is another new functionality that I will cover in a bit more depth as we go along. But I can basically save this to a project or create a project, which is similar to creating a folder in the previous Explora experience. You'll notice though that in order to create or add items to projects, I do need to be signed in to my EBSCO account. So we will return to this a bit later on. After that, I have my share functionality, which can be really useful for your educators to share across to Google Drive or encourage students to share to Google Drive. Educators, if they're using Google Classroom, can share this content there. It can be shared to OneDrive, and there can also be generated a link to this article. There is also the email functionality as well. So you would just need to provide an email address, or if providing more than one email address, separating them with a semicolon. And included in the email will be the online full text as an attachment, and then that can be sent across. I'm going to return back again to my result list. The next thing I want to point out is a bit more around how this result list works. So by default, search results do appear in order of relevance. So that's just above the first result in this menu drop down. But I can also order these according to date newest or date oldest if I prefer. Above this, you'll see your filters that are available. So filters will help further refine search results. For example, the user could select online full text to limit results to only records with complete articles. They may want to limit to peer-reviewed academic scholarly content. and they can do so by highlighting the peer-reviewed limiter. They can limit to a particular time period. So if I click the drop down for all time, I can choose between no limits on time period, limiting to past 12 months, to the past 5 years, or to the past 10 years. And also at a glance, I can narrow down to a particular source type. Because I've added my peer-reviewed limiter, it will impact on what source type I see. If I click outside that peer-reviewed and I look back on source type, I'll start to see a lot more source types. So news articles, magazines, academic journals, encyclopedias, reports. Of course, the kind of content I'll see in my results is determined by the databases that I subscribe to and have enabled in Explorer. So if I do enable ebooks, for example, I can start to see that content as well. Now, in addition to these common limiters, I can also select all filters, and I can see the full range of filters that are available to me. So again, I can see my date range. Now, in addition to those other date ranges that I pointed out, there is still the custom range available as well. So I can actually specify a particular date. In doing so, I have to put a month, and then followed by the full year. So from and then to. I also have my Lexile ranges. So you would be familiar with this as well if you've used Explorer in the past. So the Lexile reading level range is an international standard that can assist with recommending appropriate articles and content to different age groups and grade levels. So I can also limit accordingly to Lexile range. Beyond that, I can again limit to source type, and I can see the full range of source types available. By default, all of these are arranged by hit count. So how much of the results are included is in brackets. So with the source type, what is the quantity in the result list in brackets? And then there's the content provider as well. So you can see here in the demonstration account what databases have been enabled. Of course, this will look differently for you depending on what databases you have enabled in your Explorer. But certainly users can narrow results to a particular database if they wish. And at any point, if you want to remove filters, you can clear all, or you can individually unselect filters as well. So returning back to my results, I do want to focus on some other content available here. So if I want, I can look at full text articles, and you'll see in the brief record in the results, at the top of the title, it does indicate to me the source type. I can see the name of the title. I can also see highlighted where my keywords match back to that particular result. Normally, it will match back to my title, my abstract, and my subjects. I can see here at a glance as well, my subjects are hyperlinked, so I can easily run searches on these subjects if I wish. I can click on the title of an article to be taken to its detailed record. I can also be taken to the detailed record by clicking on View Details that's right next to the Access Now link. So articles may be accessible in PDF or in online HTML, and that will be indicated at a glance. So when there's more than one possible access, I can click on the Access Now dropdown, and I will see if there's both online full text and PDF full text options available to me. Also from the results, I can bookmark or save the articles to my saved items. And I can click on the tools to the right of that, and I can easily navigate back to the Cite tool, to the ability to add to project if I've signed into my EBSCO, to share or to download that article. I'm going to now click on the article's title to view the full record of that article. And as I do, I can see all the citation information relevant to that article. Again, those subjects are hyperlinked for me. The abstract is written out here in full. And if I want to then access the article in view full, I can go access now. This one will take me to a PDF. And so you can see when the page loads, the PDF viewer within the new Explorer. So I can start to then go through this PDF. So I can scroll down, but I also have my arrows at the very bottom where the page number is. And I could, if I wanted to, select a particular page number and jump to that page as well. I also have the ability to print with the PDF here on my top right hand corner. So if I have an inbuilt printer, I could print that out, or I could save as PDF offline as well. Okay, I'm going to return back again. And the next thing I want to show you, and I'll just return another step, is the ebook record. So if you do have ebooks, you will also be able to access the ebooks from Explorer if you have enabled them there. So with this particular ebook, if my library administrator has enabled me to download the ebook in full, I can click on the full ebook download button and then log into my personal user account and then specify how many days I want to check out that book. Otherwise, I can also access it now. Either there'll be the EPUB or the PDF full text options available, or both. Now, as I scroll down, I also see my availability and permissions. So I can see if it's available for download, depending on what my library has enabled. And I can see if I can download any chapters or print, email, or save them, and what is the allowance of that, and whether copy and paste is available. As I scroll down further, the table of contents is also available here. So I could download a chapter from this view. And to the left of that, you'll notice the author's name is hyperlinked. So I could view other results from that author if available in the interface. And then I can also see hyperlinked towards the bottom my subjects and my categories. So your users would then be able to access now. Just going to go back to new search. And the next functionality I want to show you is the advanced search. So that's just underneath the search box, the bottom of the search box towards the right of it. I can click that and I will then have the ability to create a more targeted search by using more search boxes and selecting fields for each term. So let's say, for example, I want to search climate change again, but I want to add a few more options to this search. So I've got my climate change in my first box. And let's say under all fields, I want to search for this as a subject term. And then I'm going to have my and to connect my first concept with another concept. Now I can change this by clicking on it to search, to use other Boolean operators. So I've got and as the default, but I could also use or if I'm looking between synonyms, and I could use not if I want to exclude a term from my search. So in my second search box, I'm going to search renewable energy. And under all fields, this time I want to search all text. And that will indicate that it will search for my terms in the abstract, in the author field, publication field, so all available potential fields, as well as the full text itself. So it will broaden out my search. And now I will run my search. It will then load with my results, and I could then start to go through my results accordingly. And if I found anything I liked, I could save those items. Okay. And if there's any questions on any of that, please let me know. I want to return back to the home screen. And I want to point out that from the Explorer home screen, users can browse topic categories to find research ideas. So you do have your Explore Topics option, and just above that, you do have the Discover Popular Topics option as well. So you do have a highlighted topic, and this will refresh every time a user refreshes their screen or enters a new session. But users can also click on one of these popular topics to navigate across to some of the other popular topics listed here. And then if I wanted to, I could click on a popular topic and it will automatically run the search for me and display the results attached to that topic. I'm going back to the home screen, and below that, as mentioned, I do want to point out the different topics that can be explored. Now, do bear in mind, because the content featured in different versions of Explorer does vary, the available categories may vary as well, depending on the version that users have access to. So users can click a category to view all topics available within that category. So I'm going to select, for example, current events. From the category browse page, users can click a letter to jump ahead in the alphabetical list of topics. So I could click A, for example, and then they can click a topic for a list of relevant results. So I'm going to click airport security, for example. Now, each topic will include a topic overview on the search results page. And you can see that here. And then I can start to go through those results. I want to go back one more step again. And I do want to point out in my A to Z here of the topics listed under this category, I was currently in this grid view, but I can also go into a list view. So if that is preferred, users can scroll through the list view as well. And if there's any questions around that, please let me know. Now, the next thing I do want to point out is the EBSCO personal account. So to the right of the search box, you'll see the person icon. And if I click on that, it will open up this pop-up indicating my EBSCO. So at this point in time, I'm only signed in as an institutional user. So I'm signed in by my institution, but I haven't yet personalized. So if permitted by the library administrator, users can set up a personal account in a number of EBSCO's unique research interfaces, including Explorer. So to do this, you just click that account icon or that person icon in the upper right corner. And then from here, there is the option to create an account. And I would just need to provide my first name and an email address and a secure password. From there, a message would appear that confirms the account has been created. And then to log in, the user can click the sign into my EBSCO link and provide their login credentials. So I'll just click into that and it'll just show me the personal user sign in. So once I sign up, I then provide whether it was a username or email address that I signed up with, and then my secured password, and I can sign in. So once I have signed in, that's when I could start to save items to my dashboard, and I could start to create projects and have a more personalized experience and store information as I go along. So this does take me to the dashboard, which is a new experience here with the Explorer interface. So the dashboard is available in the column on the left side of Explorer, and it's where users will find their projects, their saved items, their searches, and items they may have viewed. So if signed in to their personal user account, then items in the dashboard are saved and can be accessed whenever they sign back in. So it's a very permanent solution for them to store and save information. So do bear in mind that if I wasn't signed in with my personal username, and if I was only signed in with my institution, then the items in my dashboard would not have saved beyond my current session. So let's explore this dashboard. In Overview, users can click Overview in the column on the left to see their most recently created projects, bookmarked or saved items, their searches, and items they have viewed. So it's a really good way to get a quick snapshot of their recent activity. And they can go into further depth of this activity by then clicking the other options in the dashboard. So I'll then go into projects. As I mentioned, this is very similar to a folder experience with a bit of added functionality. So I recently did create a project called climate change. And if I wanted to, I could go back and edit that. You'll notice now with projects, there is a due date that I can add in as well. So if I've got an assignment coming up and I want to place the due date, I could do that. If I want to add a new project, there is a plus symbol to the top right. I would basically just give it a name. And if I wanted to, but I don't have to, I could give it a due date and an optional description, and then I could create that. And so what I could then do is I could start to run some searches for my project. And then on the right of this, where the tools is, or even when I'm in the actual record or the article, I can, wherever I've got the add to project option, I can select that. Then I just choose a project from the drop down. So either I create a new project or I choose one of my existing projects and I can add that there. And so now that will be tied to the project. And I can return back to my project and I can see what articles or ebooks or resources that I've included to help me to finish and complete that project accordingly. Below the projects is my saved items. So anything I save with a bookmark will be shown here. I can highlight everything and I could export if I wanted to. So I can bulk export to my citation tool of choice. And I could also bulk download as well if I wanted to. Below that, I have searches that I've recently run, and you can see here what the search was and whether filters were applied. And if I want, I can actually save these searches as well by bookmarking them. I can see the full details of those searches. I can see how many results contain, and I can go back to those search results. I could add the search to my project if I wanted to. So my climate change project, for example, or I could delete my recent search as well. And you will notice that I can also order them from newest or from oldest as well. Below that, I've got my viewed items. So recent items I've viewed. And again, I could save those and make that more permanent if I wished. And I could add these recent items to a project if I wished, and share them, download them, and so on. And if ebooks are available and you've enabled them for Explora, your EBSCO ebooks, and holds and checkouts are enabled, then users could also see their current checkouts or current holds. The other thing you'll find here at the very bottom is the research tools in the left-hand navigation. So I can go back and resume a general search if I want to. And I can also view the curriculum standards that were also viewable from the previous Explora experience. Okay. I will point out some help and support materials. So there are some really good knowledge articles now available on the new Explorer. The main one I would bookmark is the Explorer Quick Start Guide. So you would just need this. It does have additional links to every aspect and element of searching through the new Explorer. So by just having this bookmark, you'll easily be able to navigate to all the different instructions available, from basic search, advanced search, browsing by category, topic overviews, and so on. So this could be really useful to share with patrons, with educators, and with students. There is a section here specifically for educators that does talk through how the new Explorer and Google Classroom can be used together. And just a quick start guide on that. Also, the FAQs are available from here. In addition to that, there are tutorials for whether you have primary school users or middle and high school users. So it's worthwhile sharing those tutorials to those users. Okay, so you're always welcome to reach out if you do have follow-up questions. So thank you again so much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this session, and I'll see you again at future sessions. Bye for now.